This is the Mooncast.
See you, space cowboy.
Perfect. So guys, just want to first and foremost tell you guys thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you so much for participating in our engagement festivities. And we will be doing more of these moving forward to just give people who participate, engage, and etc. Free knowledge, maybe some alternative means of reward for just being able to participate within our community. So I really, really appreciate you guys so much. Now, on to the blockchain basics course. So this is going to be a quick introduction trying to break down to you guys blockchain technology for those still kind of confused a bit about what the technology is, what's the purpose of it, and why it exists, right? So if you remember, I don't think I need to do an introduction on myself, but I will do a recap real quick on my What is Money series, right? So in my What is Money series, I was breaking down the different elements of money and how we got here to be able to leverage the blockchain. The blockchain technology itself, cryptography, have been around since the 70s, 80s, right? So it's not anything that's new. What's new is how we've been able to utilize it, right? Again, it's been around since the 70s and 80s. What's new is how we've been able to utilize it, right? So this is what this course is going to hopefully be able to expand your thought process to look at different ways and solutions that the blockchain itself can be leveraged for to implement where you're currently at geo-specifically, right? So what is so blockchain-based introduction, right? So blockchain technology is transforming various industries, right? It's decentralized and secure system that revolutionizes data storage and management. This presentation will guide you through the fundamentals of blockchain, right? Again, revolutionizes data storage and management, right? So what does that mean? We're going to get into that. So what is a blockchain, right? So a blockchain is a digital ledger of transactions that are grouped together in blocks. Each block is linked to the previous one, creating a chronological chain of records. So put simply, a blockchain is, if everyone here, I hope, knows accounting, right? So I always like to make the accounting reference because an accountant's job is to track in and outflows within a organization, right? In and outflows, what I mean by that is value, money, right? So every time that something comes in or something comes out, he physically, let's just say in this quick example, would write down this came in, this came out, right, on an account ledger, right? You have your credit and your debit, right? I won't get too much into those specifics currently right now, but just know that this sort of technology was invented during the Renaissance, so to speak, that the Europeans had, I think the 13th century, right, in Italy, right? So that's all that's happening, right? We're taking this example of what I just told you, tracking inflows and outflows of value transfer or messaging, and we're porting that into a digital realm, right? So we're using the technology to remove the human element of that, right? Because humans, there's errors that can happen, right? There's corruption that can happen. And so this is where the introduction of the blockchain comes in, right? So when you look at, to simplify it even more, right? When it talks about this chain of blocks, right? Don't overthink it, right? It's in each block, you're going to have three very important pieces of information. Again, don't overthink this, right? It's just going to be the sender's address, the receiver's address, right? So if I send, let's say, Sean money, right? It's going to have my address that I sent X value to Sean and his address and the amount that was sent. It's not going to showcase my name. It's not going to showcase Sean's name, right? And that's the beautiful thing about the blockchain is you can see everything openly and transparently, but you don't have to dox your wallet unless you want to, right? Unless you want to tweet it out and tweet, this is my public address. Now the government knows that that's your public address, or now everyone in the world knows that that's your public address and they can track it, right? But you don't have to do that, right? So again, I transferred value to Sean. It shows my address, Sean's address, and the amount tagged with what is called a transaction hash, right? So this hash is a unique identifier to each individual chain or each individual block, right? Every block is just, again, a record of transactions, right? So does everybody kind of understand that specifically before I go ahead and move on to the next thing, right? If you feel free to interrupt me with by talking, because I can't see the chat, and I can't see any emojis or anything like that. So just interrupt me if you have a question. But yeah, this is very, very important to understand, right? So we've already talked about so the sender address, the receiver address, and the amount, right? So that's what it has. So secure, right? The one cool thing about it is that there's no central authority that is approving me and Sean transacting with each other, right? What's happening is the computational power is decentralized. In the case of Bitcoin, for instance, we'll keep it very, very simple here, right? In the case of Bitcoin, different people around the world are viewing this transaction, right, through their software. And it's not them that are doing it, it's the software itself that they've downloaded, right? And they're actually competing, right, to solve a mathematical equation. When I say they, I mean their software, not them themselves, right? So that they've downloaded, right? So whoever has a stronger computational power has a higher probability of being able to execute and be able to have the authority to close that transaction between me and Sean, right? Depending on, so it's competition, right? So that's why you have these, if you guys have seen, these big, huge machines that people are buying to so-called mine, right? Because it's hyper competitive, right? The more computational you have, the higher probability you have to solve this mathematical equation, which gives you access to be able to verify me and Sean's transaction. Why is that important? Why would you want to do all of that, right? Because there's an incentive to do so, right? So the incentive is that you would get recorded in Bitcoin. Does anybody know the price of Bitcoin currently right now, right? We're talking about $60,000, right? So that's the incentive for you to then want to be able to verify me and Sean's transaction. And so that's what decentralizes the authority and the consensus mechanisms, right? So again, moving on to secure, right? So it's highly secure due to cryptography, again, making it difficult to tamper with the data, right? Because I just told you every single time that a transaction, there's an input-output within transactions within me and Sean in this simple example. There's a transaction hash that's tagged to that, tied to SHA-256. We won't get too much into that, but what you need to know is that every single time that you transact, there's a new transaction hash that is unique to that transaction, right? So, and then again, as I told you, people around the world are all looking and peer reviewing these transactions to ensure that it is me who is sending that and it is Sean who's sending that. Whereas the traditional system works like this, right? If you look at the Swift banking system, how it functions is I send money to Sean, my bank to his bank. My bank then needs to verify that I am who I am, and then it then needs to verify that I have the amount that I say I have. It then needs to verify that Sean is who he says he is, and Sean's bank is doing the same thing, right? And by the time they've both verified, they then update their account ledgers, right? Physically, manually, with the possibility of human error, right? So that's how that works, right? Whereas the blockchain, again, is different. Does everybody understand? If you do not understand, just again interrupt me while I'm speaking, because I cannot see any messaging or anything. I just see this screen right here. So it's transparent, right? Again, like I told you, so all transactions are recorded publicly, increasing the trust and accountability, right? Again, everything is public. You can literally go on chain and see all recorded transactions since inception, right? This is something that we'll probably go ahead and showcase to you guys later when we're doing our introduction to blockchain course, to just show you guys the blockchain explorer, get a little bit familiarized with how to analyze a blockchain explorer, how to track transactions, and etc. This is something too as well that's going to be expounded upon in our cybersecurity course, right? Which Alex is going to be teaching. You'll be able to. He'll introduce himself to you guys during a Twitter space here shortly, right? So
imagine 10xing your earnings capacity to 100K per year while working remotely at the comfort of your own home. We are in the exponential growth phase of technological advancements. That means AI, AR, VR, robotics, and of course, Web3 technologies taking over the job market. At HeliCode Academy, we train students on Web3 hard skills and link them to employment in the job market. Find out more at helicode.xyz. And as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
So, and the efficiency, right? So blockchain streamlines its processes, eliminating intermediaries, like I just suggested, right? And it reduces the cost, right? So that's the beautiful thing about the blockchain. And remember, it's not just me and Sean's transaction within that block. There's multiple transactions happening and getting compounded into the same block until it fills up the block, or sometimes it doesn't fill up the block, right? But the point is, there's only X amount of capacity for each block, depending on how the blockchain itself is structured. In the case of Bitcoin, I can't remember the numbers currently right now, but there's an X amount. There's something I'll probably showcase to you guys after this, but there's an X amount of size, right, within each block. And after that, it closes. And then they have to verify all those transactions on the block and then move on to the next block, right? So it's way more secure. So again, the key components. So we went over some of these, right? So the blocks, blockchain consists of fundamental components that work together to ensure its functionality and security, right? So blocks contain a collection of transactions timestamp and a hash of the previous block. Again, so showcase the previous block's unique identifier, which is a transaction hash, and also your current transaction, right? Is again something that's going to be showcased later on as you guys continue to get educated on this stuff. It's very, very important for you guys to know these things, because when you go ahead and take one of our courses and our paid courses, and then you get the skill set and we link you to the employer, more than likely that employer is going to pay you with cryptocurrency, right? And this is something that we're going to break and highlight down to you to showcase you to not fear that. Just understand how to use wallets, how to use exchanges, how to swap your crypto into fiat so you can feed your family, right? So these are things that we're going to showcase to you guys. It's just way quicker, right, than that employer having to go fish out Naira, or having to go fish out CFA francs, or having to go fish out Kenyan shillings and so on, right? It makes it way more efficient. Again, this is stuff that we'll break down to you guys more in detail. So the hash, right? So again, that's the unique identifier that I keep speaking about for each block, and is generated through cryptographic algorithms, right? And and then again, the chain, which is blocks are linked together in a chronological order, right? Again, just like an account ledger is written in a chronological order, it records each transaction that's going in and out and then it's writing the date, right? Just like an accountant is doing that, this is happening in a tech space, right? In a digital realm. And consensus, right? So a mechanism used to validate transactions and add new blocks to the chain, right? This again is something that I already broke down to you guys, that irrespective of location, there's pseudo-anonymous people currently right now that have downloaded the software and are mining so that they can go ahead and be able to get that next, defeat the mathematical equation to be able to get the permission to go ahead and validate transaction, right? And again, there's different consensus mechanisms. Bitcoin operates, we'll just focus on Bitcoin for now. I don't want to confuse you guys with altcoins. Not saying altcoins are bad. I invest in both, but there are two different things. Like one of them is more, venture capital has counterparty risk, where it's a company leveraging blockchain technology, which is totally okay, to solve a problem. So similar to like a stock market, right, where a company can issue stocks, right? So the same thing is happening kind of in this blockchain or a crypto industry, right, where companies are issuing out cryptocurrencies and they're using them as utility vehicles to enhance their business model, right? Whereas Bitcoin is a piece of code on the internet that's completely decentralized, and it's an open source software and an account ledger, a decentralized account ledger system, right? Used to fix money, right? Because the money is broken. So again, two separate things. I broke this stuff down in my What is Money series, right? So I don't want to get too much into this currently right now. But yeah, so decentralized and distributed ledger, right? So again, unlike traditional databases, blockchain is decentralized, like I just explained. What is the difference in decentralized and centralization? Databases themselves, I don't know if you guys are familiar or know this, but like Facebook, for instance, has different data centers where there's a security guard, and they're basically have all this computational power in these designated locations around globally, right? And that's how it works. So you have literally a center full of computers with security guard that somebody is manning, right? And they can actually be able to rent out some of that computational power to others and stuff. This is like cloud storage and etc., right? But anyways, I don't want to get off track. So where's that? So meaning there's no single point of control, right, within the blockchain. Again, as I broke down to you guys, the blockchain itself, the technology is it's in the way that it's built is so that there's not an intermediary or a counterparty, right? Specifically Bitcoin, altcoins too have this, but they do have, there's nuance, right? With altcoins, the consensus mechanisms can change, and the barrier to entries can be quite higher or not as favorable depending on the chain. I'm talking about people who want to participate within the network to be able to secure the network itself, because anybody can go ahead and participate, right? Again, I told you, Bitcoin is open source code, meaning you can go on GitHub and go contribute. It's the same as a good example to give you is Windows and Linux, right? Windows is owned by a company, right? It's called Microsoft, right? Everybody familiar with Microsoft, right? And again, it's an operating system within a computer network, right? So that software is owned by a company, whereas Linux is open source. Anybody, you don't have to use Windows and pay. You can actually just use Linux if you wanted to and download it on your computer, and you can actually contribute to the advancement of Linux. And open source is more secure because it's open, so anybody can come in and hack it, right? So no one's been able to penetrate Linux, which makes it more secure. Whereas a closed source, there may be room for vulnerabilities, right? Because you haven't opened it up globally for people to go ahead and play around with it, see if they can hack it, right? So open source technology is more secure than closed source technology because of that reason, right? So the same concept can be applied to a database. We've all seen Facebook get hacked. We've seen many of these companies get hacked, right? Because they're centralized, right? The point of the blockchain is to decentralize it and have it open source so everyone can go and check the code and verify that that code isn't corrupt or can't be corrupted, which gives it a reinforcement to make it more secure, right? So decentralization, right? So data is distributed across multiple computers, again, like I just explained, making it resistant to censorship or failure. Again, making it resistant to censorship or failure. What's going on right now, right? My YouTube channel got hacked. Oh, not hacked, but actually, yeah, one of my YouTube channels got hacked. The other one, I got canceled, right? Because the underlying principle of that Web 2 technology is centralization, right? But if you could build another YouTube, but decentralize the computational power and make it permissionless, right? It makes it better for everybody, because you can't just have a single authority just closing you off or stopping your family from eating, right? Imagine if you have like 100K subscribers or something like that, and you're generating a lot of cash, and then the central authority just doesn't like one thing that you said and just turns you off. And this is why we're shifting towards decentralization, right? So it can make more sense to you guys why this shift is happening, right? People want to own their intellectual property. They want to own their value exchange and transfer, and they want to be able to see everything transparently, right? That's what people want, right? Don't have to look at me, just look at the numbers. You're talking about an industry within 10 years that's done a 200,000% gain. Again, we're talking about an industry within 10 years that's done a 200,000% gain. The market speaks for itself, right? So I'm not here to try to pitch you about my biased ideas or anything. I'm just telling you what's happening with the numbers, right? And this is why I built this academy, so I could give you guys those opportunities to build those skill sets and then leverage them to be able to get employment and cash flow, right? So again, it's a distributed ledger, right? So every participant in the network has a copy of the blockchain. Again, every participant in the network has a copy of the blockchain, right? So everybody who gets their computer, downloads the software, will be prompted to first download all of the every piece of data within the blockchain from inception, right? And then it will record everything moving forward from there after it's done that, right? And again, it ensures the transparency and accountability, right? So everybody can see everything. So yeah. Cryptography and blockchain security. So cryptography plays a crucial role in securing blockchain transactions and data. So hashing transforms data into unique and unchangeable fingerprints. Again, this is again what I just explained with this unique identifier, this transaction hash. When me and Sean transact, back to that example, it generates a unique identifier, not ever been seen before, that only me and Sean can see, because me and Sean are the only ones who know each other's address. Because if Sean wants to send me money, I send him my public address, right? And then he goes ahead, sends the amount of value, confirms it on the blockchain. Again, for people who don't understand what I'm talking about, we will get into the practicalities of this, right? This is just a free course to kind of showcase to you guys and break down in detail to give you guys a little bit better understanding, because a lot of times people are looking towards the wrong mentorship or wrong so-called experts, right? They don't really understand what they're talking about. So again, this is part of the reason why we built this academy, to really train people on the proper education. So crypto isn't a scam, right? Crypto is a technology. The blockchain is a technology that's more secure and more transparent than the current version that we have now, right? There is no scams here, right? All the stuff that you're seeing in the propaganda is all lies, right? So this is again trying to showcase to you guys how the technology works and how it can be utilized, how it can be leveraged. When you think about how secure this is, from what I'm breaking down to you about the hashing and then also the encryption, which transforms into an unreadable format, right? Protecting it from unauthorized access, right? So again, the public addresses, the hashes, right? These are unreadable in the sense of other people don't know who that person is, and also there's even technology out where you can choose to portray that transaction on chain or not, right? It depends again on the blockchain. This is again really complex stuff that I don't want to get into for this particular just introduction, but just know that that is a possibility too as well. And it's not just a possibility, somebody's already executed and implemented it, right? But I don't want to deter you guys. I want to keep things simple here for this course.
Picture this. You're an inspiring computer science major. You have the 4-year degree program finished. You get out, start looking for work within the job market, and then you realize that there's no jobs. What you end up doing is you become an Uber driver because you realize that that piece of paper that you were chasing was actually worthless. The reality is, most institutions are behind. HeliCode solves this problem by teaching you on-demand Web3 tech skills in a short duration of time and links you to employment with our job placement services. And the best part is, you can work remotely. Find out more at helicode.xyz. And as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
So, and digital signatures, right? So verify authenticity and integrity of transactions, preventing fraud, right? So, yeah, so this again, it's very simple stuff. Moving on to transactions in the mining. So the transactions on a blockchain involve the transfer of value or information between participants. Again, back to that example between me and Sean. I'll keep referring back to that example, right? It's just me and Sean transferring value or messages or information to one another, right? Actually, currently, right now, I've began the thesis of where I think that we're entering towards this multipolar technocentric future powered by the gig economy. And also another thing too as well, I'm going to be breaking down a little bit what I consider to be Web 4 and Web 5. Again, this is not for this particular course. I don't want to confuse you guys too much, but I do find these developments fascinating. Web 4 is mesh networks, right? It's basically the ability for, let's say, everyone to have a set device and to still be able to transact with people irrespective of if the internet itself turned off, right? Using a messaging protocol, right? A Tor, if you will, or something like this, right? So I don't want to confuse you guys too much, but that would be Web 4, right? And then Web 5 would be leveraging Bitcoin to be able to do. So you know what? Let me not confuse you guys, right? I don't want to do. It's just the stuff that I find fascinating. I'm going to go ahead and like I said, propagate this information, consolidate it, and then push it out and provoke thought, right? Because that's what I do. I'm a thought provoker, right? But moving on to this, right? So transaction initiation, right? So a user initiates a transaction providing details such as the recipient and the amount. Again, like I explained back to me and Sean's example. Sean wants to, or I want to send Sean money, right? I tell Sean, send me your public address. Sean sends me his public address. I then say, Sean, how much amount do you need me to send you? Same exact way as we do with the current system to an extent. The only difference is that this is more secure and way faster. And it's frictionless and there's no intermediary. Meaning no one can stop that transaction from getting to Sean. Nobody. Once I've sent that transaction, it will get approved and Sean will receive it, right? There's nothing that will stop it from happening. Whereas with a bank, they can freeze your account, right? They can stop you from transacting and feeding your family. They can stop transactions from coming in and feeding your family, right? In this example, the same thing's happening. I'm putting in, let's say Sean says I should send him $10. I put the $10 in. I copy his address. I paste his address on my wallet, and then I click send. I confirm the transaction with my spending password, and then once I confirm it and hit send, then the transaction takes about a few seconds to get approved by those, again, miners, right, that I talked to you guys about, that are competing for to solve the computational equation to be able to verify our transactions, right? And once that is verified, then it closes on the blockchain. Sean gets his money, and that's how it works, right? So that's what this is breaking down now. Again, the transaction is broadcasted to the network for verification by multiple nodes. Again, so the multiple nodes are, again, those decentralized people that are pseudo-anonymous around the world that want to help and verify the transactions on the network, right? And the miners use, again, the computing power to solve complex puzzles and add the transaction to a block, right? So again, the computational power that I have is competing with somebody else in the Philippines, competing with somebody else in the US. Whoever has the higher computational power has the higher probability to be able to solve the mathematical equation quicker, right? I hope everybody understands that. So, yeah, so, and then block addition, right? So once a block is validated, it's added to the blockchain, making the transaction permanent. Again, making the transaction permanent. It's irrefutable once it's put on the blockchain, right? It's not like a bank that can then revert the transaction or freeze your account or even tell you can't even open an account because you're too broke. You're too broke, go away. You can't open an account, right? So this is permissionless. Anybody can download a software wallet and participate and receive and send money, right? In seconds or in minutes to open up and fire up the wallet and write your seed phrases down. Again, it's just a little bit of the nuances we'll be breaking down more practically to make sure everybody understands these things, right? So the rise of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin is the first most popular cryptocurrency built on blockchain technology. Again, it's decentralized, so no central authority controls it. Again, so what does this mean, right? Why is this statement so powerful? Because I'm sure you guys have seen online that, oh, the government's going to stop it, or, oh, it's not, it's a technology. Same way the government can't stop Linux is the same way the government can't stop Bitcoin. It's open source software that anybody can participate in. There is no single authority. There's no counterparty risk, right? There's nobody to attack. When the government wants to attack somebody, they go to Mark Zuckerberg. They go to Jeff Bezos. There is no CEO. There's nobody controlling this, right? It's not a product. This is a technology. So all that stuff you hear on the internet is just noise. All that stuff you're hearing on the mass media is noise. There is no way to stop it. I hope everybody understands that, right? It's completely decentralized. So secure. So cryptography safeguards Bitcoin transactions, and then it's scarce, which is another thing, again, that I kind of broke down a bit in my What is Money series. If you guys haven't checked that, please go check that out. We will leave a link down below after this in the Telegram, so you guys can go and check that out. For those who didn't get that, right, that free information that's very valuable for your mind, right, some brain food for you guys. So and it's peer-to-peer. Again, it's me and Sean with the technology in the middle, no middleman, right? Peer-to-peer. It's the simplest way in which I always put it is I have $10,000 in cash and I hand it to Sean physically, except this is happening in a digital space. I have $10,000 of, let's say, of Bitcoin worth, and I'm handing it to Sean digitally. No intermediary again. The government doesn't know that I gave Sean physically $10,000. The same way the government doesn't know that I sent $10,000 worth of Bitcoin to Sean, right? They can't know that unless you close that information for yourself, right? So that's the beauty and the power. Is people want to transact peer-to-peer, right? They want to bypass these intermediaries, and that's the unique selling point of this technology, right? One of the many, right? There's many different things that this technology can be used for. So yeah, here's again the blockchain's impact on the future of finance, right? So again, finance is just one sector. I repeat, finance is just one sector this technology can be leveraged for. You think about identity solutions, right? When you look at the fact that so many people in the world don't have IDs, when you look at the ability to be able to showcase your wallet history, and that could be used and leveraged so you could be able to get a loan, right? So people could see, maybe you do a lot of DeFi and et cetera, right? Decentralized finance, et cetera. You look at, there's so many solutions, right? I can't think of so many off the top of my head right now, but this technology it's amazing. It's brilliant, right? You look at land rights, right? You can use it to permanently stamp it on the blockchain, right? And encrypt it on the blockchain so everybody can see that this is your land, right? And it's irrefutable. You look at driver's license, you look at passports, everything's going to get put on the blockchain. They're already starting now. This phenomenon is called real world assets, right? Where you're tokenizing physical assets into the digital space, right? I actually have a theory, which I've said on my podcast last year, that I actually believe that the stock exchange is going to become the block exchange, right? And now you've probably heard recently Larry Fink, who's the CEO of BlackRock, which is the biggest hedge fund in the entire world with $11 trillion in assets under management, stated that he wants to put the entire stock market on the blockchain, which was obvious that was going to happen, right? It makes more sense. And also a cool thing about this, well, again, one of the nuances, I don't want to use the word cool. I guess one of the nuances about this space too as well is the fact that it's 24/7 open for business. Nobody can stop it. So when you speak about volatility, when you're in a controlled environment like the stock market, it's left to centralize the control and manipulation and hearsay so people can get an advantage and a leg up on others. Whereas this is free for all, right? It's the purest form of free market capitalism, right? This is what this industry is. So faster payments, right? This is one way in which it can impact the financial sector, right? So as I explained to you, it's peer-to-peer. So the transactions happen seamlessly and way quicker. Whereas a bank transfer, it can take 3 to 5 business days, right? And it costs a lot more fees. If I want to move $1 billion and secure a transaction on a macro scale, right? Now we're talking big business. You know, when they're moving, let's say, $50 million, $100 million, if you move it in Bitcoin, you pay what, $100 in transaction fees? Try moving $50 million in a trade fi, right? you're going to end up paying from the $50 million, you're going to end up paying maybe $500,000, $1 million maybe even, right? Just to move those $50 million. So it cuts costs significantly, and you get the money within seconds, right? So again, so it alleviates all this friction that's happening. So if people are able to adopt this technology at a rapid pace, and when it becomes a new form of a value transfer, well, if I'm getting my money quicker, then that means I'm spending my money quicker. So the economy moves faster, right? So increase security, right? Again, I've explained this already several times. With the blockchain enhances security by reducing risk of fraud and hacking, right? This is obvious, right? I've already explained that. The smart contract implementation, right? So automated contracts that execute automatically upon predefined conditions. Okay, smart contracts. Put simply, in this example, me and Sean, smart contracts are in the physical realm. If it's just programmed automatically that every time Sean says the word helicode, I will give him $10 worth of crypto automatically, right? So it's an if-then statement. If this command is met, then this command will be executed, right? Does everybody understand that, right? And it will happen every single time like that based off the programming that you've done. So what this does, this smart contracts, is it decentralized the financial sector, and it's created this new industry called decentralized finance, right? So decentralized finance is the ability to leverage smart contracts so that and open source the software, right? So that everybody can participate within finance, right? And that's all it does, right? So now anybody around the world who maybe has some liquidity and wants to put it up as collateral, but doesn't have the financial instruments to do so, can just go into the crypto space, let's say Ethereum or a Solana, and they can put, let's say, 10K in collateral and then get an additional 5K and use the 5K for something, or they can take 10K and they can loan it out to other people, right? And you can have peer-to-peer lending and borrowing, right? And all done through a smart contract, right? Through code itself. So it removes the financial intermediary. You don't need to go to a business or to a person, right? You just use the code. So this industry has grown. It's now, I think, around $250 billion, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. Somewhere around $200 billion, right, in terms of liquidity. And it's scheduled to 5x here within the next 12 months, right? So again, those are the numbers, right? Where do you think this thing is where the trajectory is going to be now that everyone has access to financial instruments globally? What is that going to mean for the current traditional financial sector, right? Financial inclusion. Again, I've explained that already. Everybody has access. Irrespective of who you are, you connect your wallet and you play. Nobody cares about your KYC details. You connect your wallet and you play, right? And that's where we're headed, right? So this removal from this financial discrimination that we have currently in society, where only a few or people who are qualified investors can invest in venture capital and invest in these financial instruments to be able to advance themselves in their lives. Now everybody has access, right? So that's the inclusion portion of it that I really like. So yeah, this basically concludes this quick free blockchain introduction course. I do hope that you guys did enjoy this one. Yeah, I appreciate you guys' time and I appreciate you guys' engagement on this.